What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com. Here are my DFS picks for NBA Tuesday, March 22nd. These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our new videos. In this video, I'm going to go over my top picks for today's NBA slate. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, we have a 4-game slate tonight. So let's take a look at the point guard position. I like Cole Anthony from the Orlando Magic playing the Golden State Warriors, who have a good defense overall. They've been good versus opposing point guards, but Cole Anthony has averaged 34.5 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 33 minutes per game with a 26% usage rate. He's projected at 33.8 fantasy points here tonight, and that's 5.4 times value. He's 6,300 DraftKings salary, 600 less on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 216 points scored in this game, and Cole Anthony has scored 19, 32, and 35 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 28, 33, and 25 minutes. So I'm just hoping that Cole Anthony can get his season average in minutes and fantasy points per game and get well over 5 times value on both sites. So I like Cole Anthony here versus the Golden State Warriors. Okay, let's take a look at the shooting guard position. Now, I just got a gut feeling about this play. He hasn't really been scoring a ton of fantasy points the past 3 games, but he is playing pretty decent minutes, and he does have some pretty good upside. He's got 30 plus fantasy point upside. He's in a great matchup. So I think I'm going to take a shot on Alec Burks from the New York Knicks playing the Atlanta Hawks, who have the 9th worst defense overall, give up the 2nd most fantasy points to opposing shooting guards. Alec Burks has scored or averaged 24.2 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 28 minutes per game with an 18% usage rate. Now he's projected at 26.2 fantasy points here tonight. Gonna need about 28 fantasy points to hit 5 times value on DraftKings. He's 5,600 DraftKings salary, 400 less on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 225.5 points scored in this game, and Alec Burks has scored 21, 24, and 23 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 34, 27, and 27 minutes. So I just like the matchup here. I just got a gut feeling about this guy, I like Alec Burks here versus the Atlanta Hawks. But the other guy that you could go with, it's a coin flip for me. It's going to be one of these 2 guys who's going to score a bunch of fantasy points and crush value in this 4-game slate where you're looking to save some salary, because we got a stud at the center position. I'm sure you all know who it is. Well, maybe you don't, but he is the guy that you want to own on this slate. And to get there, you're going to need to save some salary at the other positions. So it's between Alec Burks at 5,600 DraftKings salary, 400 less on FanDuel, and Evan Fournier at 5,400 DraftKings salary and 600 less on FanDuel. So I love Evan Fournier on FanDuel at only 4,800, and either Alec Burks or Evan Fournier on DraftKings. Evan Fournier, he's averaging 24.1 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 30 minutes per game. So both these guys have about the same season average for fantasy points per minute. Now, Evan Fournier has performed a little bit better in the past 3 games, scored 26, 32, and 31 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 28, 34, and 27 minutes. So it's a coin flip. I like Alec Burks or Evan Fournier here versus the Atlanta Hawks. Before I continue with the picks, I'm excited today because we added a new contest for everyone watching. If you want to enter the drawing for $25 PayPal, all you need to do is like this video, hit that subscribe button, and make a quick comment below to be entered into the drawing. We'll reply to a random comment and let you know that you won, and we'll send you $25 PayPal. So it's that easy, and we pick a new winner every Saturday and announce them in our video. So get your comment in now so I can add another entry for you. Okay, let's take a look at the small forward position. I like Aaron Gordon from the Denver Nuggets playing the LA Clippers, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall. They give up the 9th most fantasy points to opposing small forwards. Aaron Gordon has averaged 27.3 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 31 minutes per game with a 20% usage rate. He's projected at 24.4 fantasy points here tonight. That's just about 5 times value. He's 5,000 DraftKings salary, 500 less on FanDuel, so I love that FanDuel price. Aaron Gordon has scored 18, 36, and 19 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 21, 35, and 22 minutes. So we're hoping he can get 30 plus minutes in this one and crush value, especially on FanDuel. So I like Aaron Gordon. Oh, and one of the reasons that I like this play here tonight is Aaron Gordon has scored 43, 47, 11, and 41 fantasy points in his last 4 games versus the Clippers. So 3 out of those 4 games would have just absolutely smashed value. So I like Aaron Gordon here versus the LA Clippers. Okay, let's take a look at the power forward position. I like Robert Covington. Now, this is a DraftKings play only. He's priced up way too much on FanDuel, but I think his DraftKings price is pretty good. So Robert Covington from the LA Clippers playing the Denver Nuggets, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall. They're middle-of-the-pack defending opposing power forwards. Robert Covington has averaged 22.9 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 28 minutes per game with a 13% usage rate. He's projected at 21.9 fantasy points here tonight. I think he can score 23 fantasy points or more, get you 5 times value or more. He's 4,600 DraftKings salary. Now he is 1,400 more on FanDuel, so not going to play him on FanDuel, but DraftKings he is in play. And he scored 39 and 18 fantasy points in the last 2 games, playing 29 and 21 minutes. And he scored 27, 29, 12, 34, and 40 fantasy points in his last 5 games versus the Nuggets. So 4 of those 5 games would have crushed value. So I like Robert Covington here versus the Denver Nuggets. Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all of our DFS tools for all sports. You can try the Position Optimizer, where you can see the top players ranked for each position. And we added a new Player Trends tool, where you can see the top salary differences between FanDuel and DraftKings. It's a really good tool to help you pick out value for the site that you're playing on. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups. Okay, moving on to the center position. So all those value plays set you up to get this guy in your lineup. The stud on the slate is Nikola Jokic from the Denver Nuggets playing the LA Clippers, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall, give up the 12th most fantasy points to opposing centers. Nikola Jokic has averaged 60.1 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 33 minutes per game with a 32% usage rate. He's projected at 59.3 fantasy points here tonight, but I think he can score over 60 fantasy points here, get you 5 times value or more. He's $12,400 DraftKings salary, $900 less on FanDuel, and the Joker has scored 43, 62, and 64 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 33, 37, and 26 minutes. Now take a look at his last 5 games versus the Clippers. He's got a couple of monsters in here, actually 3 monsters, but 1 super monster. He scored 92, 51, 74, 63, and 34 fantasy points in his last 5 games versus the Clippers. That 92 fantasy point performance last game just really makes you want to get this guy in your lineup, because if he puts up 70 plus fantasy points, you're pretty much going to need to have him in your lineup if you want to cash. So risky play not to have him in your lineup, but if he does go out there and put up a stinker, then your lineup's going to do pretty well if you faded him. So could play one with him, one without him, but I like Nikola Jokic here versus the LA Clippers. Now, in the lineup, if you do decide to fade Nikola Jokic, the guy that I would play is Clint Capella from the Atlanta Hawks, playing the New York Knicks, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall. They've been pretty good versus opposing centers. Clint Capella has averaged 32.1 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 28 minutes per game with a 15% usage rate. He's projected at 32.1 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5 times value. He's $6,400 DraftKings salary, $300 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 225.5 points scored in this game, and Clint Capella has scored 30, 33, and 40 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 30, 27, and 30 minutes. He scored 22, 53, 40, and 32 fantasy points in his last 4 games versus the Knicks. And Clint Capella hasn't scored under 30 fantasy points in his last 5 games. So he's been on a roll. So I hope I don't jinx him here tonight. So I like Clint Capella here versus the New York Knicks. If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video, or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smickety smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NBA slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.